Welcome back, everyone. We absolutely love it when you guys interact with us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. We recently received a really good question from one of our viewers via Twitter. I want to show it to you. Tim asks, quote, with the upcoming medical marijuana laws in Missouri, what rights do those living in shared airspaces like apartments have to not be exposed to it? Tim, we all thought that question was a really good one, so we reached out to our friends at Brown and Crouppen, asked them for a little sit down, and Ed Herman joins us this morning to talk about this. Ed, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Nice to have you here.
Wow, look at this, a handshake.
Well, you know, this
is a new era.
It's appearance number 217 for you, so I thought I'd...
It's 213, but yeah,
it was really close.
Yeah, you were close.
I want to bring vaping into this, too, because vaping has become...
very prevalent,
so prevalent.
Yeah.
So let's talk about non-smoking laws and how they apply to vaping first of all.
Well, really, when it comes to public, you know, everything is going to be divided in public places versus private places. Mm-hmm. When it comes to public places, you know, like the state of Illinois, the only law they have about vaping is it's not allowed on school campuses. Missouri doesn't have any statewide ban at all against vaping, but there may be some local municipalities or local organizations that you know, ban it on their premises. But of course, when it comes to private property, you know, restaurants or things like that, they can choose to ban it completely if they want to. You don't have any constitutional right to vape.
Right.
But vaping is much more wide open than smoking, obviously, is because there's no such thing as secondhand vaping.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, one might assume that the rules for marijuana would be somewhat parallel to those for smoking or vaping. Kind of, but kind of not.
Well, yeah. I mean, in Illinois, it's almost identical in that they assume with the Illinois recreational law going into effect in January,
start of the year,
all of their anti-smoking laws, if you can't smoke a cigarette there, you're not going to be able to smoke marijuana there. The only exception might be at certain designated places like dispensaries where the product may be sold or utilized or sampled, that kind of thing.
Right.
Missouri, you know, which will have medical marijuana only, not recreational at this point, won't be allowed in public places. However, they may also have designated, the same way we have smoking sections at the airport, they may actually have sections for the use of medical marijuana so that, you know, if you are using it for medical reasons, you might have to have some of those designated places.
So back to Tim's question, because he's talking about
private property
in an apartment, but still things can come through ventilation systems and what have you.
It could. The interesting thing with private property in apartments is that it's really governed by contractual law, not by constitutional law. A lot of times a landlord doesn't want you smoking in an apartment, not because he cares about your health or anybody else's health, but because he doesn't want the apartment to smell like smoke.
Right.
You know, they have to clean it out and what have you. So it really is going to depend on what a person's lease says, if they are allowed to smoke or not allowed to smoke. But here's the problem. That's a relationship between the landlord and the tenant. If Tim's next door neighbor is hitting the pot pretty hard, Tim may be upset about it. He may complain to the landlord, but he himself doesn't have any individual contractual rights as it relates to his neighbor.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, he can put pressure on the landlord. He can say, hey, the neighbor's violating the agreement. He's not allowed to smoke. But it's going to be the landlord's choice if he wants to take that person's security deposit or evict them. The landlord may not care about it. And quite frankly, I don't know how much science there really is on the negative health risks of secondhand marijuana smoke. Some people are big fans of it. You know, I mean,
really?
You know, not me, but from what I hear.
So here's what you do. If you're looking into an apartment, have a conversation with the landlord. And see
what they're going to tolerate, what they're not going to tolerate.
Heads it all off at the pass.
Right, and it may be other options too in an apartment situation. Maybe they can relocate a tenant to an available apartment. And you know, the goal is to try to accommodate everybody. Nobody should be exposed to it who doesn't really want to be.
If you'd like to get in touch with Brown and Crouppen, you can call them anytime. It's all twos. Or check out their website, getbc.com.
Thank you, gentlemen.